So, today I'm talking about Farm Bill weed. This is marijuana that has been made legal through the Farm Bill using loopholes involving THCA. Now, what we have here is I have some flour, the basic stuff you use, right? And also we got this pre-roll here. Now let's see, let's take this out here. And God damn it, sound man Mike!
What?
What do you mean? What do you mean what? I'm asking if you smoked you smoked my fucking demo joint. It's just it's not even a roach. What the fuck, sound man? What the fuck, sound man Mike?
What?
What do you mean, what? What do you mean, what? You fucking, wait a minute, you're just too high to know what I'm talking about, right? Is that what you mean when you say what?
What?
Fine. God damn it, Soundman Mike. Okay, look, whatever. Okay, we also got we also have an eighth of flour here. So, take a look at that. And alright, so here we see that it looks like regular weed. Like it is, for all intents and purposes, it is regular weed. And I'm going to be talking about what it is, and this is, wait a minute. This is not an 8.
What?
God damn it, Soundman Mike. Hello and welcome back to Ruben Uncut. Today, I'm going to be talking about Farm Bill weed. That's right, Farm Bill weed. For those that don't know, maybe the easiest way to explain this will be to show you this.
We put our kids to bed and then took a vacation.
Thanks to some delicious gummies from Mood.
Since not everyone is a total stoner like my husband,
Guilty.
Mood takes the guesswork out of cannabis, so you know exactly how you're gonna feel. Whether you're a guru or just trying it for the first time, click on the mood you want to feel and then go for it.
Yes, 50 milligrams.
Want to relax after work? There's a mood for that.
Want to feel energized? There's a mood for that.
I found mood after my hip replacement.
I only wish Dad was here to share these with us.
Yeah, but he's a pre-roll guy.
There's even a mood for getting in the mood. Not now, honey. I'm making you a sister. Mood is legal cannabis and ships right to your door.
I'm sorry. The censoring of the word cannabis and ganja, like, I don't know why that is.
Click here for 20% off your first order.
With Mood, you don't need to leave home to get away.
Okay, that's enough of that. So that is an ad for Mood, which is a company you may have noticed selling marijuana online. And yes, their ad does scream wine mom. It screams wine mom very, very loudly. So how is this happening, you might be asking? Isn't marijuana federally illegal? Well, technically, it is. However, you may have heard of something that was passed a few years ago called the Farm Bill Act, something that legally allowed farmers to start growing industrial hemp. Why were they allowed to start growing industrial hemp? Because hemp is defined as a cannabis plant that contains less than 0.3% THC, which is, by the way, not a lot of THC. In fact, it's almost none. In fact, I'm not gonna lie. When I first found out about legal Farm Bill weed that was referred to as hemp, I was thrown for a loop for a minute because I mistakenly believed that hemp was the male plant of marijuana, which technically it kind of is. You see, hemp is a term that is used to refer to any cannabis plant that contains that level of THC, which I believe, I'm going to double check this here. Hold on. Yes, 0.3% THC, equal to or below. Any cannabis plant that contains this level of THC is considered hemp. Now, it is worth noting that male plants of the reason for my confusion is that male plants fit this descriptor. Male plants do not produce more than 0.3% THC if they produce any at all. This is why most of the time when you say hemp, you are referring to male plants. In fact, the whole reason that, in fact, THC itself is in fact a cannabis, for lack of a better term, and also probably oversimplifying it enough to make some biology person who's watching this video absolutely shit a brick. THC is like it's like the sex pheromone of the cannabis plant. You see, the female cannabis plant produces THC in large amounts to attract the pollination of male cannabis plants. That's right, you're smoking plant sex pheromones. That's why it feels so good. Now, the thing about this, though, is that for years, if we wanted really good weed, all you had to do was sexually frustrate a female cannabis plant by removing them from male cannabis plants. This makes them produce significantly more THC. This is also something that George Washington wrote about in his journals. Yes, George Washington definitely smoked marijuana. And we know this because when he was talking about growing hemp, he talks about removing the female plants from the male plants and replanting them near swampy areas. There's literally no other reason to do this, unless you want to start smoking the sticky icky. Why he planted it near swamps, don't know. But the only reason to separate the female plant is to make them more potent. As separating the female plant from the male plant does absolutely nothing to the male plant. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not a video about how George Washington smoked marijuana. But he did. He totally did. In fairness, he also had a bunch of lead in his mouth. How is this man president? Anyways, moving along. Hemp was federally legalized in 2018 with the Farm Bill that allowed the cultivation of cannabis with THC levels equal to or below 0.3% in order to ensure that its product destined for human consumption wouldn't possess intoxicating properties of adult use cannabis, which is still federally illegal. So you might be saying, so Ruben, you mistakenly believed at one point that we were smoking the male plant, that was what was happening. However, I have since learned that is in fact not how you make legal Farm Bill weed. Now, there are two strains of legal Farm Bill weed. There's Delta 9 and there's Delta 8. High levels of Delta 8 THC are produced artificially by chemically converting CBD or Delta 9 THC through a process known as isomerization. The basic process of converting CBD to Delta 8 THC simply is CBD plus acid plus time equals Delta 8 THC. And no, we're not talking about having a bad time at Woodstock acid here. No. How is Delta 9 extracted? Legal THC products must be made from hemp and contain less than the legal limit of the cannabinoid. But exactly how is Delta 9 made to fit these particular parameters? It turns out that anyone looking to learn how to make THC isolate has a few options at their disposal. 3 to be exact. The first method is solvent-based extraction. Solvent-based extraction involves soaking the hemp material in a liquid like butane, propane, or ethanol. which strips the plant of its chemical compounds to be concentrated into hemp-derived delta-9 distillate. There's also a concern with this method of extraction that the solvent will remain inside the final product and potentially cause health issues for the user. However, if the extraction process is done correctly, all the solvents should be removed from the delta-9 distillate. This is why vetting the companies you purchase your products from is essential to ensure they are reputable and responsible. If you are a casual fan of cannabis, then you're aware that delta-9 THC occurs naturally within the plant. That's one of the biggest reasons why so many people are fascinated by cannabis in the first place. However, delta-9 THC products are hemp-derived, and although the cannabinoid is naturally found in the hemp plant, it is only present in trace amounts. That means to create delta-9 from hemp, there needs to be an extraction process. While this complicates things a bit, it also allows for creating delta-9 extract that is more widely legal than cannabis itself. Legal requirements for delta-9 production. So if cannabis is considered federally illegal, and its legality varies widely from state to state, how is delta-9 made in a way that won't get you in trouble with the law? It's an interesting question. And the short answer is that it requires a clever little loophole. That's right, you're smoking loophole weed, which helps explain the paradoxical nature of its legality. If you want to know how to make sure delta-9 is legally made, you've got to follow two essential instructions. It must be hemp-derived. Cannabis is federally illegal to cultivate, possess, sell, and use in America today. Thanks to the 2018 Farm Bill, hemp is no longer illegal. The legislation made it so Americans could grow hemp and also made it possible to extract an array of notable cannabinoids from inside hemp for use in various products. But is hemp made from weed? And if not, then what is their relationship to one another? No, hemp is not made from weed. Weed and hemp are part of the same plant species, but carry few distinctive differences. One of the primary differences is weed contains much higher levels of delta-9 THC. It can only have 0.3% delta THC by dry weight. Now, this is the confusing part for many people. Creating legal THC product with enough of the compound to remain psychoactive sounds impossible. However, the last little bit about dry weight is where the loophole comes in. What by dry weight means is that the THC content of a given product must represent no more than 0.3% of the product's dry mass. Simply put, it is possible to create gummies, beverages, and oils with THC content that does not add up to more than 0.3% of its dry mass. There's still plenty of THC to provide you with the psychoactive experience you seek. Let's get back to extraction. Now, we already read about the solvent-based extraction. Maybe I should have used this site for talk about the other things first, but we talked about solvent-based. Let's talk about supercritical CO2 extraction. Supercritical CO2 extraction is a great way to produce pure and clean delta-9 distillate. It involves applying enough pressure and heat to liquid CO2 to become what's known as supercritical fluid, which is a state of matter that displays the properties of both a gas and a fluid simultaneously. The supercritical fluid is combined with hemp to extract all desirable chemical compounds. This method is the cleanest and safest, leaving no residual chemicals, just pure cannabinoid oil. However, it also requires expensive equipment and is highly trained professionals who can use it properly. Steam distillation. Steam distillation is a standard process for extracting desirable elements from plants for concentration. In fact, it's been in use for hundreds of years. This process involves adding hemp to distillation tanks that use heat and water to pull chemical compounds from the plants so they can be separated from the water into an oil product. While this process is safe and easy, it's also not all that efficient and can result in errors. For this reason, it is not the most popular method for delta-9 extraction. Now, the thing about this is that you may have a lot of questions. Yes, delta-8 itself is made from essentially adding chemicals to your marijuana. You see, these marijuanas go through a chemical extraction process, but also go through various alterations of chemicals, specifically delta-8. Now, the thing is, and let's talk about this, Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because people want to get high. And corporations know this. Now, you may remember a long time ago, there was a thing called Spice and K2 and a bunch of other things. Basically, a bunch of people started making cannabis analogs and then spraying it onto various smokable plant matter, and people were getting high off of that. And gradually, the government would come in and say, nope, that's illegal now. And then they would just make a whole new different version of it. And it gradually got stronger and stronger and stronger as they kept changing the formula. It became further and further away from weed until the next thing you know, I'm in the shower and I'm like, holy shit, this is too much. But the fact of the matter is that people want to get high, and they will do whatever they can to get high, even if it's a ridiculous series of loopholes in a legal document. So corporations like Mood come out here, and they are essentially, well, they're trying to game the market. You see, by creating this legal product and selling it online, if marijuana ever does become federally legal, they will already have the name brand recognition and, of course, the infrastructure to start selling you legal weed as quickly as possible, giving them a market advantage over any other companies that will come into existence once marijuana is actually legal. But there's also some problems. Delta 8 and Delta 9 THC products have aroused the attention of the federal government, and it's causing a problem. Hemp and marijuana go to war. The Farm Bill has pitted the allies against each other over how to handle intoxicating products. This comes from Politico. A Farm Bill battle is pitting hemp against its closest cousin, marijuana. The fight centers on intoxicating hemp products, which have developed into a multi-billion-dollar industry subject to few rules and regulations, which, by the way, is part of the problem. The regulations in the hemp bill are designed for hemp products, not getting high, which means that this is actually a significantly less regulated marijuana industry, unlike marijuana, where marijuana is legal in the States. The fight centers on intoxicating hemp products, which have developed into a multi-billion-dollar industry, yes, already subject to few rules and regulations, especially compared to state legal marijuana. Some marijuana companies and trade groups are pushing Congress to close a loophole that allows the production and sale of intoxicating substances derived from legal hemp. The hemp industry has a very different ask for lawmakers. Leave the federal definition of hemp unchanged. This will probably be one of the most interesting debates and discussions in the Farm Bill. House Agriculture Chair G.T. Thompson, Republican, Pennsylvania, told Politico earlier this month. It's the culmination of similar fights happening in state houses around the country as the nation tries to navigate a completely new industry rife with legal complexities created by distinctly different federal laws for marijuana and hemp. The loophole originated in 2018 when the last Farm Bill legalized hemp, or cannabis, with less than 0.3% THC, the principal psychoactive component of the plant. Cannabis with more than 0.3% THC, meanwhile, is considered marijuana and remains federally illegal. Many lawmakers who backed hemp legalization 6 years ago did not realize they were approving an intoxicating substance. I supported the last Farm Bill, and I was okay with hemp being used for industrial uses and things like that, says Representative Doug LaMalfa, Republican lawmaker from Northern California. I'm doing the wrong accent for him. Who speaks out regularly about the impact illicit cannabis cultivation has on his district, where cultivation of regular marijuana is legal. I watched what happened after that. I'm going to continue with this voice. and a whole bunch of people I got think kind of hornswoggled. He says words like hornswoggled. I'm sticking with the voice. Capitol Hill is not first to this debate. Connecticut already moved to restrict intoxicating hemp products. Louisiana may vote this week on a bill to outright ban hemp products with any amount of THC. And Missouri's Attorney General launched an investigation last month into intoxicating hemp products. On Capitol Hill, the main question, with a House markup of the Farm Bill looming on Thursday, is whether House Agriculture Committee Republicans have enough support in their own caucus, almost said cactus, to bring an amendment that would either put more guardrails around hemp products or prohibit them from having any amount of THC. Representative Randy Feenstra, Republican from Iowa, told Politico last week, "We're on the path of closing loopholes." But Reps Dusty Johnson and David Rouser both declined to talk about potential amendment addressing the issue as of last Thursday. LaMalfa, a strong supporter of closing the loophole, was not even sure as of last Wednesday which lawmaker, if any, would be introducing the amendment. "I'd be very inclined to carry or support a refinement of that," LaMalfa said. Kentucky Republican Jim Comer and Mitch McConnell took the lead on legalizing hemp. McConnell has remained a champion of industrial hemp products, proudly sporting a hemp fiber mask during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ooh. By recognizing the difference, it's McConnell. I gotta try and sound like a turtle. By recognizing the difference in statute between hemp and its illicit cousin, we can remove much of the confusion facing farmers, producers, and state agencies. I'm really working on my McConnell. McConnell sat on the floor of the Senate in 2018 when he introduced the hemp legalization legislation. McConnell's office declined to comment for this story. Unsurprising. He probably just stared off into space. The senator has no comment at this time. We have to get him back to his nap time. The opposite, however, has happened. Post-legalization, the market for hemp rope, fabric, and other non-digestible products was slow to develop. Even sales of CBD products were stymied by a lack of federal regulation, leading many national retailers to steer clear of these products. Eventually, intoxicating hemp derivatives such as Delta-8 THC and Delta-10 THC became popular. Hemp companies also find a way possible to get enough Delta-9 THC into beverages or edibles to have psychoactive effects without breaking the guidelines of the 2018 Farm Bill. Intoxicating products, while boon to the hemp industry economic outlook, challenge struggling state legal marijuana industries. The cheaper cost and greater availability of intoxicating hemp-infused products made them potent rival of cannabis industry in many states. Hemp products are not subject to the same stringent regulations and high taxes as marijuana products in many states where both are legal. And as they've grown in popularity, they've also garnered greater scrutiny from anti-drug and family groups, who raise concerns about intoxicating products getting into the hands of kids, which, FDA's refusal to issue regulations on CBD products has effectively turned hemp and cannabis. Federal refusal to issue regulations on CBD products has effectively turned hemp and cannabis companies against each other when we should be working towards the same purpose, said Jim Higdon, and co-founder of Cornbread Hemp, a Kentucky-based hemp company. The U.S. Cannabis Council, whose members include many of the country's largest marijuana companies, sent a letter to lawmakers last month warning of national crisis if lawmakers don't crack down on intoxicating hemp products. The Midwest Hemp Council sent its own letter to Congress warning of dire consequences for farmers if the definition of hemp is altered in the Farm Bill. Now, conservative Republicans and some cannabis companies are ironic bedfellows on Capitol Hill, both wanting the loophole closed for very different reasons. LaMalfa, for example, tells Politico he hates cannabis, and yet in this case, he has the same policy position as many state legal marijuana companies. Hemp groups are asking for a third approach, more regulation like testing and limiting purchases to consumers over 21, which I don't know. When I went to buy this shit, they already said you had to be 21. So I don't know if there's really an age loophole. But loopholes stay open. There are certain ways of going about it, and that could shut down the whole industry. And there are others that would only shut down parts of the industry, said U.S. Hemp Roundtable General Counsel Jonathan Miller, adding that none of the proposals he's heard on Capitol Hill are acceptable. The toothpaste is out of the tube, he added. Even the cannabis industry is divided on whether to close the loophole. Curaleaf, America's largest cannabis company in terms of revenue, is launching a line of beverages with a low but intoxicating for most people amount of Delta-9 THC. Curaleaf CEO Boris Jordan told Politico the beverages will have no more than 5 milligrams of THC and are made fully within the guidelines of the Farm Bill. Curaleaf is a member of the USCC, but does not align with the trade group on closing the loophole. We would prefer that it be a one regulatory framework for all cannabinoids, Jordan said. We're at the point in time where now the hemp industry, where there needs to be some rules put around what you can and can't put into these products. Cody Strauss, founder and CEO of Humboldt County Cannabis brand Northern Emeralds, doesn't want the entire loophole closed. Northern Emeralds sells marijuana products in California, but is also entering into a licensing deal that will allow hemp-based dispensaries to open under their brand name in Austin, Texas, where marijuana products are not legal. Strauss thinks California should strongly regulate intoxicating hemp products that are sold in the state. He does not, however, support federal regulations that would limit intoxicating hemp products in states where marijuana is not legal, or that could restrict the ability of California producers to cultivate and export hemp out of the state to places like Texas. Because it is worth noting right there, that thing specifically. One of the major things that's standing in the way of the marijuana industry from actually making the amount of money that everyone says the marijuana industry should be able to make is their inability to do interstate commerce. Every legal marijuana dispensary and company and farmer has to operate within their own legal state. This means that the potential for expanding the market is severely limited, and the amount of market that they can achieve is also limited, which is why certain marijuana companies would like to keep this legal so that they can do interstate commerce with places like Texas. Everyone's talking about this as though it was a mistake that needs to be corrected, Strauss said. I think it was a mistake that was correct. Did I give him a different voice earlier? I don't remember. Who cares? It's opinion shared by Oregon Senator Ron Wyden. While not on the Senate Agriculture Committee, Wyden is a senior member of the Senate who represents a state with large hemp and cannabis industries. That means his opinion on this carries weight. Does it carry 0.3% THC dry weight? I don't know. Wyden wants more regulations from the FDA on things like packaging and age limits. His office shared with Politico he does not support closing the loophole and says it would have a step backwards into criminalization. If we've learned one lesson from failed war on drugs, Wyden said, recriminalization, these products won't make communities safer or keep the products out of the hands of kids. As the House Agriculture Committee prepares for its Thursday markup, lawmakers are mulling whether or not to introduce an amendment that would close this loophole. And exactly how far that amendment would go, a deciding factor could be support from fellow Republicans, some of whom have already come out against it. Oh, I don't think that federal government should be involved in this discussion, Representative Derek Van Orden, Republican, Wisconsin, told Politico last week. And that's how the article ends. Feels weird that it ends like that, but whatever. So, what are my thoughts on this? Well, actually, I think the solution to this is pretty clear. Just federally legalize cannabis. We're just making it more complicated. We're just making it marijuana with extra steps and less oversight. For the love of God, just legalize cannabis, you fucking hacks. Dear God. Then the real marijuana industry will probably overshadow the hemp-based marijuana loophole weed. States will finally be able to do interstate commerce, which would be good for all marijuana companies, and we won't have to do this fucking loophole bullshit. Because that's what it is. Loophole bullshit. You're smoking loophole bullshit weed, he says, as he prepares to go downstairs to smoke some legal loophole marijuana. Provided that sound man Mike hasn't fucking smoked it all. Thank you for tuning in to Ruben Uncut. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And ring that bell. Maybe leave some comments. It's all good for the algorithm. If you're listening on Spotify or one of the many other podcast distributors where my podcast is available, I don't really know what you need to do to improve me in their algorithms, but, fucking do it. If you would like to contact the program, you can email me at rubenuncut@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful whatever, wherever, whoever you are.